Today, we have a special guest from Russia. His name is Volvet. He's an economic student. So, welcome, Volvet. Welcome to the Billion Insight podcast. How are you?
Hi, man. I'm doing good. What about you?
Yeah, man. I'm also doing great. So, Volvet,
Nice.
can you introduce yourself?
My name is Ali, but I go by nickname like Volvet. I study economics. I work in security. Most of my life, I lived in the Far East in a place called Kamchatka, which nobody really heard of here, I guess. And it's like the most far places in Russia from Moscow,
Okay, so where do you live now?
in a major city close to Moscow.
Okay. So, you mentioned that you were born in Kamchatka.
Yeah, I was born there. I lived
Yeah.
like born and raised, man. Born and
Yeah.
raised.
So, it is a very far eastern place of Russia. So, could you describe what is the place is like?
The place, we have a really nice flag, which represents my state perfectly. It has like white and blue colors, which represent like sea and the sky. And it also has three little mountains, which represent Kamchatka having mountains. Not with, but whenever like think of it. The place is not really populated. We don't have much people, but the place is really big. I'm not sure what to compare it to, but I'm sure that it is bigger than Japan. But we have we don't have that big of a population than they do. We have about 300,000 of people living there, maybe four. So it's a really big place with a small amount of people. So we got a lot of nice views, a lot of wild bears, a lot of fish, a lot of volcanoes. It is a really nice place to live in.
So, how's the weather there?
The weather.
Yeah.
The place I was born in is actually more southern than Moscow is. But the weather is not that hot because we are basically on the coast of the Pacific Sea. So it's not that hot at summer, but it's not as cold in winter as it is here. We don't get minus 30 degrees Celsius or plus 30 degrees Celsius most of the time. Also, we have very long winters. For instance, right now it's May 10th, and Kamchatka still has snow in its roads.
Okay, I see. Since it's a far eastern side of Russia, that place is known for its winter.
Yeah, it was previously known for its winters because our winters are completely different from winters here in European part of Russia. Here, winters are just like in movies, you know. It's really cold, but everything looks nice. Everything is just as you expect it to be in a movie.
Interesting. Apart from the Russian language, how many languages your country people can speak?
It depends on the place you live in because Russia is actually a multinational country. We have a lot of different nationalities inside. Maybe some people don't know about that, but there are, for instance, Tatars. There is a place in European part called Tatarstan, and people speak Tatar language there. People speak Russian, people speak Tatar language. In Caucasus, maybe in Dagestan, in Chechnya, people also have their own languages, so they might speak like 2 or 3 languages. In Kamchatka state, we have a lot of nationalities there, so there are a lot of like native languages that were there from the beginning. So yeah, usually it's like 1, but sometimes it can be 2 or 3 or even 4.
How many you can speak?
I can speak only 2 languages, partly Russian and partly English.
Can you say like hello and how are you and nice to meet you in Russian language?
Да, конечно. Привет, как дела? Как вообще поживаете? Очень приятно познакомиться.
Okay.
That was it.
Yeah. So, man, what are some traditional festival or celebrations celebrated in Russia?
Probably you don't know about Maslenitsa, which is celebration of, I don't really know what of, to be honest with you, but it's basically, it happens always when spring comes. We usually bake pancakes. It's like a holiday about pancakes and that spring comes.
Yeah.
So yeah, you usually bake pancakes, you meet your family. It is a really old holiday. I would say it's one of the oldest we celebrate here in Russia.
Hmm.
And yeah, usually like it's like a celebration of winter's ending, you know?
Okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and it's a really nice thing to celebrate.
Any other festival which you would like to mention to our listener?
I don't really know any other.
Maybe Victory Day, maybe Ivan Kupala Day.
Yeah, but everybody knows about that kind of days, right? And
Uh,
I was trying to find something that people never really heard of, like Maslenitsa.
Today is May 10th. Yesterday, you guys celebrated the Victory Day, right?
Yeah, we celebrated it yesterday.
Can you tell me about how you guys celebrated Victory Day in Russia?
It depends on a family, but if it's an army family, basically like older families who remember their like relatives, they
Mhm.
usually okay, let's go from the beginning.
Hmm.
Maybe I didn't tell you, but I work in security, so I
Hmm.
worked actually on the Victory Day and helped to do the parade.
Hmm.
So usually it starts with the parade. There are usually this
Fireworks?
parade one. No, fireworks in the end. After the parade, there is another parade, not for like military people, but
Mhm.
for regular people.
Oh.
If you had army members in your family,
Hmm.
you can go with picture of your relative of your family member
Hmm.
and go in the parade with the picture of them.
Mhm.
So it's an important thing for people to remember their relatives, remember that their relatives did something really important for us to be here.
Hmm.
Because if it weren't for them,
Hmm.
we would never win. So it's like really important.
Mhm. Yeah.
Also, at least like this time we didn't have this kind of parade because of security reasons.
Hmm.
But we had a lot of different army like smaller festivals in
Mhm.
different parks in different places of my city. So we also worked in a park,
Hmm.
and there was basically an exhibition of military
Hmm.
machines, military cars, military tanks. There was actually army people that work in the army that actually fought in wars, and they
Hmm.
explain to you how this kind of car, this kind of tank works.
Hmm.
Where was it used? How good was it? Yeah,
Hmm.
they talk about that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
There are fireworks in the end, obviously,
Hmm.
in every city.
Mhm.
But I don't know about this town and
Hmm.
fireworks. Probably there was some, but I'm not
Mhm.
sure if there were in Moscow.
Okay, for those who are unaware, in Russia, Victory Day is celebrated. It is in the memory of the Soviet Union's victory over the Nazi Germany, right, in World War II.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Volvet, do you like traveling?
Yes, I really do like traveling.
So, could you share some of the places you have visited in your country?
I've been to lots of places, to be honest with you. I I almost can say that I've been everywhere,
Oh,
except like some really small parts of it.
hmm.
But I'm almost done, I would say.
So you have seen all of the Russia,
Almost,
most.
almost.
That's interesting. I mean, to me, this is my goal to see all of my country, India.
That's
Yeah.
mine too.
So, what is your most favorite place in your country?
It depends on what I want.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to party, I would go to Moscow 100%. It's the best place to party. If I want to lay on a beach, probably, I would go to Crimea or Anapa. If I would
Mm-hmm.
like to party, but a little bit like differently, go to a casino maybe, have that kind of parties, I would go to Sochi. If I would like to ski or to live for some time, I would go to Kamchatka or catch a crab, for instance. Like, yeah, if I want to see some more, if I want to see a beautiful city with more like European styles houses and like really beautiful places, I would go to Kaliningrad or maybe Saint Petersburg.
Mm-hmm.
If I would like to catch some fish, I would go to Murmansk or I would like to go to Kamchatka.
Oh, I mean, this is one of the most interesting answer my guest ever given to me, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Yeah. So, for our listener, which place would you like to recommend them if they want to visit Russia?
I would recommend you to go to Veliki Novgorod. Also, I would recommend St. Petersburg. Just like
Hmm.
in traveling purposes, like you would see a lot of museums, a lot of beautiful houses. I would
Hmm.
recommend going to Kaliningrad, which is a really beautiful city. If you would
Hmm.
like to have some fun time, like you would do in Thailand, maybe just partying and drinking all the time, I recommend you going to Moscow because Moscow is really big on that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
So yeah,
If you could pick three countries to visit other than your own, where do you like to go?
Thailand, China, and Ireland.
Hmm. That is interesting.
I just really liked it there, and I want to go back, to Thailand someday.
So, you already been to Thailand.
Yeah, yeah, already been there.
Which other country you have visited?
I've been to Turkey, Tunisia,
Hmm.
Egypt,
Oh,
and that's pretty much it.
that is interesting. So, Volvat, if you could travel back in time, what period in your country's history would you want to experience?
I would like to experience the 50s, maybe the 60s.
During the Yuri Gagarin period, right? The Sputnik
Yeah,
time?
yeah, that like just after Stalin period, just after Stalin, because like they had a lot of new stuff.
Hmm.
Stalin left the country good after the war. It
Hmm.
had a lot of opportunities. It had a lot of new technologies like the atomic bomb, like the first computers.
Hmm.
So yeah, and like rocket programs. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds really interesting to try that time out.
And my next question is related to that. During the USSR era, Russia made significant contribution to the science program, like launching the first satellite in the world and sending the first human to the space. As a citizen of Russia, do you believe that your country can reclaim the glory it had during the USSR period in terms of scientific achievements?
As a man who wants to do science for life,
Mhm.
if I have the chance, I would say we don't have scientific future in Russia, at least compared to countries like the US, India, for instance, or China.
Mhm.
We don't have the scientific future. And until the government realizes that we have huge problems in science, we can't really do much about it. We need more funding. More. We need less universities actually,
Hmm.
because there are a lot of problems. There are lots of universities from Soviet Union, but nobody actually cared much to to go
Hmm.
and make them better, to work
Hmm.
with them. So many
Hmm.
universities became bad after that time. So I really want to close. Like 50% of Russian universities you can close right now, and nothing will change,
Hmm.
literally.
Most of the funding is going towards the war and the military. This is what you are saying, right?
Oh no, I wasn't saying about that. I was saying we just need more funding, and we
Mhm.
need to stop funding bad universities.
Stop funding bad university. Hmm. So let's talk about the government. Your country recently went through an election. As a Russian citizen, what do you think about the election in your country?
Mm, probably you want me to say something about it being fair or like honest.
Mhm.
As you already know, I work in security, so I work on every elections we have,
Mhm.
and I don't feel like the elections are rigged because I work on the elections. I watch how people are counting votes. I watch all of that, and I get paid to do that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So yeah, I feel the elections are needed, and the elections are good.
Actually, why I ask this question is because people often says that Putin is too powerful to have its competitor. People often afraid to contest against him, right?
Some people are, some people are not.
Mhm. So, what do you think about your president?
I don't really think much about him, and I feel like you're not supposed to think much about about your president, because the president's job is not really about your life. Like
Mhm.
in how do I put this? President's job is more about foreign relationships and not your local relationships. You're supposed to think about your local governors, you're supposed to think about your local deputies and what you can bring to your local community, which
Mhm.
is really important.
Yeah. So, do you believe that Putin is the most popular leader your country has ever produced?
Hmm, I can't really tell much about how popular Stalin was or
Mhm.
Peter the Great.
Hmm.
Um, I can tell only about like my life and my experience, and yeah, Putin in my life was always the most popular person there is. So for me, yeah, it's true. Putin was always the most popular. But
Mhm.
maybe like when I didn't live, maybe like when my grandma lived, maybe Stalin was more popular, and in her opinion, was more popular, or Beria, or I don't know, Khrushchev or Brezhnev.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, in my life, Putin was always the most popular.
That's fair. I've heard something funny about Putin that I don't know whether that is true or not. Putin is so popular in your country that he has his own clothing line. People want to wear shirts with Putin's name written on them. Is that true?
I never heard of it, to be honest with you.
Okay, so maybe it's not true then.
Maybe I just didn't hear about it. Maybe it's like, I don't know, some high-end costumes and
Hmm. Give me 1 second. Oh, I found it. Take a look. Team Putin.
oh no, Putin team is not his brand.
Okay.
Put, yeah, Putin team is just a brand some people use because like he was popular and like they make money off of it because
Okay.
people want to show them like that they support Putin. Actually,
Okay.
like
Okay.
some of my
Okay.
friends have shirts like with the Putin team on them just
Hmm.
because they want to show their support.
Okay. So there is a perception among people outside of Russia that the Russian government heavily censors information within the country, akin to China's Great Firewall. You know what's happening in China, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that true?
The government is censoring information in any country, in my opinion. It's
Hmm.
not as bad as it is in China, but
Hmm.
just from what I hear,
Hmm.
government usually bans kind of services that are not, first of all, fair. Like, for instance, Instagram or Facebook or like Meta company in general.
Hmm.
They banned them because in Facebook you could post that like kill all Russians.
Hmm.
Putin is not a president. We don't believe you. But you couldn't say that I support Putin
Hmm.
and stuff like this. And I don't know, it was like very stupid. So they were like,
Hmm.
yeah, we don't support that kind of censorship
Hmm.
against the people. You're either free and you let people say whatever they want, or
Hmm.
you don't do this shit. So they banned Instagram and Facebook. What else did they ban? They never actually banned YouTube, even
Okay.
though like YouTube had something similar to Facebook and Instagram,
Hmm.
but and YouTube actually banned a lot of people who said they were supporting Putin and stuff like this.
Hmm.
But yeah, and they considered banning YouTube, but they were like, yeah, YouTube brings a lot of stuff. Even though it's not free, still it's better to have it than not. So they didn't ban it.
Okay. You have a popular social media website called VK, right?
Yeah.
VK is so popular in Russia and some other part of the Europe also. So my question is, in VK, can a normal citizen say something which is technically against Putin, or it is also censored?
I don't know for sure, but
Hmm.
like I believe if you say something like this, probably it won't go well with the moderators, and probably
Okay.
either you're gonna get banned or
Okay.
you're gonna get your posts deleted.
Okay.
So like it's basically just like Facebook, but like in Russian way. Same shit, but like
Hmm.
in opposite direction. Like
Apart from the VK, And Telegram also. Telegram is globally so popular nowadays. Any other
Mm-hmm.
website from your country that you like to mention here?
Mm, what will I like to mention?
Any popular e-commerce website? Is Amazon is available in your country?
Oh, there are Russian companies that are just like Amazon, like
Okay.
Ozon or Wildberries,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, stuff like this. Or I don't know, Yandex, which is interesting that Yandex was made earlier than Google was. Okay, if I'm okay, maybe I'm mistaken here. Maybe Rambler was made before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I do remember when I was child, I used to watch a Russian YouTuber whose name is Sylvik.
Oh, Slivki Show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is really nice.
Yeah. The person name is Sylvik, right?
I don't know about the name, but Slivki means cream in
Oh,
Russian.
okay. So the guy who made this channel, he often buys stuff from Alibaba from China. Is Alibaba popular in Russia?
Uh, yeah, AliExpress was really popular
Mm-hmm.
maybe 10 years ago, but nowadays I don't really know much people who usually buy something there.
Oh,
Usually people use like our own marketplaces like Ozon or Wildberries or Lamoda maybe.
so talking about the AliExpress and Alibaba. So what do you think about China?
I think China is a is a really nice country. I would love to try it there, to try living there.
Hmm.
My father lived there for like a year or maybe two
Oh.
years, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
And he really liked it there, and he was like, "Yeah, that's the best country I ever visited." So I really want to try it out.
Yeah, the relation of Russia and China has been great, especially since the war started. One little question here. Have you heard about the news that China released a new map where they claim some territories of Russia as their own? Has this news reached to you?
They mark some part of Russia as China.
Yeah, yeah, it was all over the internet that point of time.
Oh, I found it, and it's like Blagovetions can close to it.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, I found it. Yeah, I never heard of it.
Yeah, okay. Are you comfortable if we talk about the war?
Let's go, why not?
Yeah. What do you think about the Russia-Ukraine war?
Um, I don't really think much of it nowadays.
Mhm. Mhm.
When it all started, I was just hoping that all my friends will be will live and be happy. A lot of my friends already left Ukraine. Some left to live in Germany. Some people left to live in in other countries. Some people came here to Russia, and actually one of my friends, he's from Kryvyi Rog. He's also living like close to me right now,
Mhm.
so he's doing good. I'm really happy about him.
Mhm.
Some people stayed in Ukraine, which I'm not really happy about because I want them to live. But like, if that's their choice, it's
Hmm.
alright.
So, as a student yourself, how has the war affected you personally?
My life, in general, got better, but in some ways it didn't. For instance, it's harder for me as Russian because I'm Russian. It's harder for me to get in Europe. It's harder for me to travel. It's
Mhm.
harder for me to study abroad if I want to,
Mhm.
which is or work for like foreign companies. For instance, if
Mhm.
I want to work for a foreign company in Russia, it would be a pain in the for a company to pay me, for instance.
Yeah.
Uh, when the war started, I was working for a Ukrainian company, and
Mhm.
they just couldn't pay me the money. But
Mhm.
thanks to crypto and stuff like this, I was still able to get my pay. So I
Oh.
was happy about it.
Mhm. So, when the war started, I heard that the majority of Russian people were supportive of the Russian government, but there were also a segment of the population who were against it. Have you seen any protests inside Russia against the war? Are there any people who don't want Russia to be involved in the war, so they protest against it?
Yeah, obviously there are some people that don't support Russia and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff. For instance, my father is one of them, and he
Mhm.
actually went protesting in my home state.
Mhm.
And yeah, there are people like this, but they are not really initiative
Mhm.
in general. They don't protest as much. They don't actually do much, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
I can understand why majority of Russian people support this war because they think that since the USSR period, Ukraine was part of Russia, right?
This war,
Ukraine,
it was a part of Russia even before that. So
okay.
it's
I want to know other people who do not support the war. As you said that your father also don't like the war. I mean, what their opinion, why they do not support.
usually it's people who don't support people killing people. They don't
Okay.
want other people to die, just like me,
Mhm.
but they
Mhm.
are like really anti-Putin.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's basically their point. Like, even though there are some repressions against Russians in Ukraine or some stuff like this, it's better not to start a war. Like, it's a pacifistic way,
Okay.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So the Western countries has imposed as many sanctions on Russia as they could, and people thought it could lead to Russia's recession. However, that was not the case. In fact, Russia's GDP is growing. As an economic student, what do you think is the secret behind Russia's growth, despite all the sanctions?
I'm actually not sure about this yet. I'm working on a paper
Hmm.
that actually, like, I'm studying that right now,
Hmm.
and Russian economic growth actually went exponential since the war started.
Yeah.
My best guess is that it goes just like in the United States.
Hmm.
So basically, the government prints a lot of money. They take a lot of money. They sell a lot of assets,
Hmm.
and then they start giving this money to production industries like weapon industry, like machine industry. So
Hmm.
a lot of people get jobs. A lot of people get paid. So because of that, we got a lot of trade, we got a lot of production going, and because of that, we got that rapid growth.
Hmm.
I'm not like I can't say if it's true or not yet.
Hmm.
When I
Hmm.
finished with my paper, I'm gonna be able to, but for now,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just my guess.
So basically, you are saying that since the war began, your government has produced a lot, such as weapons, aircraft, etc., and is exporting these items to other countries. So due to this trade, despite all the sanction, this is why the Russian GDP hasn't been impacted much.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
basically my answer.
yeah. So since the Russia-Ukraine war began, many American and Western companies have withdrawn their operation from Russia. So what do you think? How this has affected Russia?
From the beginning, it affected Russia. At least how I felt it affected us kind of bad because a lot of companies needed to change their ways of working. For instance, my father was working for a company that was working only with the American companies.
Hmm.
And because of that, they have a lot of problems and they had to actually sell the company because
Oh,
they weren't able to work with American companies. And now they work with Chinese and Korean companies mostly. Yeah, we had a lot of problems with technology. Technology, like phones, like laptops, got really expensive for a little bit. Clothes were got really expensive.
hmm.
A lot of people didn't really were laid off from Western companies, like I don't know H&M or IKEA, companies like this. A lot of people
Hmm.
were working for them, and they were just laid off because they wanted to leave Russia. So yeah,
Hmm.
that kind of stuff wasn't also wasn't that good. But after a while, a lot of like IKEA left Russia, and somebody just opened new stores, and now it's basically the same, but I don't see IKEA logo or H&M logo. I see another
Okay.
logo.
I mean, the new company is doing the same stuff is what IKEA was doing in a different name. And of course, it is not related to IKEA, right?
Yeah, we just got more alternatives
Yeah.
for us. It's
I,
like clothes brands or stuff
Mhm.
like this, our own shops instead of like
Mm-hmm.
instead of Western ones.
I heard a meme on that point of time that McDonald's left Russia, but in the place of McDonald's, Russian people invented a new franchise. I don't remember the name of that.
It is called Tasty, and that's it.
Okay, tasty.
Yeah, and it's basically the same shit, man. Like, to be honest with you, I'm living with this kind of a restaurant just like in 1 minute walk from my house.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that's basically the same shit, but it's just like completely Russian owned now.
And it must be cheaper than McDonald's.
No, it's not actually. No, it's
Okay.
not. It's just the
Is-
same. Like nothing
Okay.
changed except the name.
In the name of McD, it is now called Tasty.
Yeah.
McD and Tasty. That is interesting. So, one of the biggest sanctions the West has imposed on Russia is blocking access to the SWIFT payment system. So, how do you think this has affected Russia?
I feel like it was bad. It was like really bad at first
Mhm,
because nobody thought we could recover from this. It was like
mhm,
really hard.
mhm,
But yeah, and it's like really expensive to send money somewhere else to just work with the foreign companies. So I'm not really working for a company that works with
That's not SWIFT.
other country companies, so I don't know about that kind of stuff. For a
Mhm,
person like me, for a regular person, I usually send money to people in different countries, for instance, in Ukraine, in Germany, and places like this, and they also send me money. So I
mhm,
can't really send them money using my credit card, using my bank account. I can
mhm,
send them money, but it's like, first of all, it's really expensive now, so they will get like much less money,
mhm.
and it's really hard to do that. It's like really slow. They won't be able to receive the money just now. They will have to wait for some time, and yeah, it is really bad.
Yeah,
But
earlier
a
you
lot
have
of
mentioned that you were working for a Ukraine company before the war started, and then your payment kind of stopped. But later you found the alternative, like you started accepting money through cryptocurrency.
yeah, uh, since all that started, I still use crypto to send money and
Mm.
receive money, and I'm really happy that I do because it no commission, no problems at all with that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. I can
Uh,
send money just like I do with my bank account, but without any problems with commissions or like Swift.
so what I'm getting from you is that the Russia successfully responded to the most of the Western sanction by finding alternatives.
Not everywhere. For instance, CPU like not development, like building CPUs.
Building CPUs, computer.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so like nowadays, our companies that make CPUs, like Russian companies that make CPUs, have really hard time making them because they usually worked with Taiwanese companies.
Oh,
Taiwanese companies don't really work now with Russia.
okay.
Also, gas companies and
Hmm. Yeah.
metal companies have some problems
Hmm.
nowadays because they need to sell stuff somewhere, and
Hmm.
they found places like India or like African countries or China to sell metal parts or to sell gas to
Yeah.
them. But it's
Yeah.
still they don't get as much money anymore,
Hmm. Hmm.
and some companies are actually losing money, like Gazprom, which is the biggest gas company in Russia,
Hmm.
or Severstal, which is one of the biggest metal companies in Russia. And they
Hmm.
have hard times, but it's getting better and better for them.
Hmm. Yeah, totally. I can see that. In some areas, they successfully dodged the sanction bullets by finding alternatives. But in other areas, they're having the hard times.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Volvet, what is the current mindset of Russian citizens regarding the war? What are their expectations for the war? I mean, what they think, when it's going to end?
Okay, I can just say from my point of view. I can't
Hmm.
say for the people of my country,
Hmm.
but in my mind, it's supposed to finish really, really soon because we don't have any changes right now, and
Hmm.
we don't really have any changes for a really long time. Russia is in defense. Ukraine is in defense offense. So nobody is actually improving or
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like we're close to a peace agreement and I'm really happy with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Yeah.
just waiting for a peace agreement.
Yeah. For the outsider, what I think about this, I don't really think that it's a war between Russia and the Ukraine. We see it is a war between Russia and the US because the US
Yeah,
is continuously funding Ukraine, right? It's a completely proxy war.
I agree with you.
Yeah. But yeah, man, no matter why they are begin the war, but I'm really hoping for the peace.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Volvet, since you are an economics student, I want to ask you this question. So, apart from the oil industry, what other area of the businesses or sector that drive your country's economy?
Mm-mm-mm. Let me actually think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so yeah, first of all, it's like oil, it's metal, it's different types of things you get from from soil.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, for instance, food. We sell a lot of grains and stuff like this.
Hmm.
Uh, we
The
also
agriculture
spend,
thing.
yeah, agriculture
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Also, and I don't know if you consider like catching fish and stuff like this agricultural, but probably
Mm-hmm.
yes. So
Yeah.
it's also really big in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Also, how do you call it? Working with the natural resources category would be really big. So it's like making, I don't know, furniture, making foods, making metal tubes, making other bricks and stuff like this is also really big in Russia.
Hmm.
Yeah, also trades with how do you call it, like apartments, like in houses. We sell
The
Russian
construction.
companies. Yeah, construction, right?
Yeah.
So construction is also really big in Russia,
Mm-hmm.
and it's growing. Even though like we make a lot of new houses all the
The
time,
You're making the
new
infrastructure.
yeah, we're making the infrastructure and stuff like
Yeah.
this. Yeah, it's still really big. It's getting more and more expensive to buy a
Yeah.
house in Russia. So yeah, it's also really big.
Yeah. Russia is such a massive country. It is one of the biggest country of the world, right? In terms of land mass.
Yeah.
So you have lots of opportunity there. I mean, you can use your own resources, just like you are doing with the oil and as you said, like the agriculture stuff and all. My next question is, are there any exciting startup companies from your country that you find exciting and promising? It's like you know that Telegram and VK. Is it an independent company or is it backed by your government?
It's independent.
So,
Telegram is independent, and
mhm,
VK is kind of government related, but not really.
mhm. So similar
Yeah.
to the Telegram or VK, any exciting startup which is emerging from your country that you like to mention here?
I would like to mention MTST, which is a company that makes Russian processors.
The CPU,
Yeah,
you're meaning? Okay, the silicon.
MTST.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, they were founded in Russia. It's not a Soviet company, but
Okay,
yeah, it's not as good as Intel. Like they don't have that kind of money.
because it's a new company and Intel is a completely established company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Also would like to mention Russian banks like Tinkoff and Sberbank, which
Mm,
I wouldn't call them startups,
mm,
but I would like still to mention them because they drive not just science, but also Russian people. They pay big salaries. They invest a lot in science. They invest a lot in education.
mhm,
They just do a lot of stuff, and they are the best in the world, in my personal opinion.
mhm,
Also, would like to mention Yandex, which drives education and science by far in Russia, especially in IT. They don't pay that big of salaries like banks do, but still they invest a lot in education and science. They make a lot of conferences. They have their own schools. Also,
mm,
Sberbank has their own schools. They can teach you a lot of really, really deep science stuff. For instance, if I'm not mistaken, Sberbank teaches a lot in engineering and IT. Yandex focuses more on IT and data science in particular.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And yeah, their diplomas are considered to be the best. Even though they are not a university, if you get a diploma that you studied data science in Yandex, it would be considered better than having a bachelor's in data
Okay.
science from the best university in Russia.
Interesting. So talking about the educational program, what do you think? What are the most popular career option that you observe in your surroundings?
In 90s, economics and lawyer, that kind of stuff like law,
Mm-hmm.
were the most popular.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, it shifted a little bit. Obviously, going to health industry was always popular and is still popular, especially among women.
Mm-hmm.
Also, education is really popular among women here. For
Mm-hmm.
men, it always was more about engineering, even in
Yeah.
Soviet Union. Engineering was very popular in Soviet Union, and nowadays it went into IT.
Hmm.
Uh, a lot of young boys really want to get into IT. Also,
Yeah.
girls want to do that also, but girls usually take some double degree, like economics and IT. Maybe economics, yeah, economics and IT would be a good thing for girls to study. And even in my university, even in my department, a lot of girls are studying IT through business instead of studying IT as a whole, instead of
Hmm.
studying computer science as a whole.
Hmm. Interesting. So, man, you were talking about the bank. Bank is the backbone of any country, right?
Yeah.
My next question is related to it. In Russia, if you have to send money to someone, what is the best way to do so?
Usually we use bank apps like Tinkoff app or Sberbank app. You just open the app, you fill in the number. It may be a phone number, it may be a card number, it doesn't matter. And you just send the money, and after a second, you're
Money
a
will
person
leave.
who will get the money. Yeah.
Yeah, so you do not have to remember the account number or something like that. It is possible with the phone number only, right?
Yes, yes, without
Yeah.
any problems.
So when was the technology to send money using phone number introduced in your country?
Let me Google it. It's like
Yeah.
a really old thing.
And what is the technology called in your country?
It is called SBP, and it
Could you
says it
back it
was
up?
launched in 2019.
Okay, 2019. The reason why I ask this question is that in many countries, people are still sending and receiving money using traditional method, such as through bank accounts by adding beneficiary.
Sounds
In
like
India,
Europe or like or the
North
US.
America.
Yeah, they're really like old men.
I remember that in India, when the government implemented demonetization in 2016, they introduced this technology. They demonetized the
Oh,
money and they introduced this technology on that point of time.
that's really cool, man.
Yeah. So, Volvet, what do you think? What is the most popular smartphone brands in your country?
iPhone, 100%, man. Like
Hmm.
almost everybody has an iPhone,
Okay.
especially younger people.
And what about any other alternative like Android phone?
So Xiaomi was a really big thing in Russia previously.
Hmm.
Before that, Samsung was also really popular. But nowadays, I don't see as much people using Samsung or Xiaomi. I see a lot of people using iPhones and the people who use Androids, they use whatever. Like for instance, I don't know, like my father uses
Hmm.
Google phone, or my mother uses a Samsung phone, like she used to in the old
Hmm.
days. So
So,
yeah,
so,
everybody uses something different in
so Google
general.
Play Store and Apple App Store is available in your country, right?
Yeah,
So, man, is Netflix available in Russia?
I'm not sure,
Hmm.
but I remember like using it. You can't pay for Netflix, but
Hmm.
I remember you were able to watch it. Like if you have an account, you can use it, and that's it.
Okay.
You could use it. Maybe
Hmm.
nowadays it doesn't work in Russia. I'm not sure.
Okay. So, how the movie industry in Russia? Do you like to mention any popular movie of Russia?
Actually, movie industry got really better after all this shit started because we didn't get a lot of foreign movies because
Hmm.
nobody would sell them to us. So we would buy foreign movies, like for instance, Armenian company bought foreign movie to publish in Armenia, and we would rebuy it from Armenian company instead of the company that made that movie. Kinopoisk, a really big. It's like Netflix but Russian. So it invested a lot of money into making
content.
our own products, and it has like a lot of stuff, man, a lot of stuff. And first time in my life, I actually heard that people, not just like old people, but people who are my age or just a little bit above my age are watching Russian series, Russian movies. And I was actually shocked about that stuff because I thought it doesn't really happen here a lot. And people actually talked, like, even at my job, I could talk about some Russian movie that was published or it is going to be published like really, really soon. So yeah, it's getting really better because of we don't get much much foreign stuff.
So basically, since there isn't much supply of foreign content, you guys decided to create your own content. And earlier it wasn't the case.
Yeah, we're basically resurrected
Yeah,
Russian film industry in my
yeah.
personal opinion.
It's a positive development in that regard.
Yes.
Yeah. So talking about the movies, Telegram is often associated with pirated content. So what's your take on it?
You know, like pirating content was really popular in the 2000s
Yeah, that point
in
of time. Yeah.
Russia. Yeah, after that, people got used to buy content like music, like movies, like games, for instance.
Yeah.
And since the war started, since February, we didn't really have the chance to buy games, for instance, on Steam or buy, I don't know, Spotify subscription or buy, I don't know, stuff like this. So, yeah, because of that, pirating got really popular again, and even I used to pay for movies, for series. I used to pay for Netflix. Now I don't pay for Netflix. Now I just watch all the same shit, but for free. Yeah.
I can totally see that. So now you can access Steam, but you can't buy games on there.
Yeah, you can change countries on Steam, or you can download games online
Which you
without
already,
Steam.
if you had purchased any game prior to the 2020, then you can download that in your country, right? There is no
Oh,
problem with
without
that.
any problems.
But if you want
Yeah.
to buy a new game, then there is a problem.
Not actually. There is, first of all, some companies don't work in Russia, like Steam still does work in Russia. But for instance, you can't buy EA games in Russia
Oh,
because
okay.
they left us. So you can use Steam, but you can't really buy that kind of stuff. Also, it's really hard to put some money on your Steam account because they don't accept Russian cards. But if you find a way to, I don't know, put some money there, you can buy whatever game is available. Obviously, not all of the games are available here, so it's a little bit problematic from time to time.
Moving on. So how's the sports situation in your country, the post-war?
Yeah, sports situation is really bad in my opinion because a lot of people don't have a chance to go to Europe to play. Let's say if I'm a Russian football player, it would be really hard for me to play in Europe or in any other country like the US.
Yeah.
Also, we are not eligible, for instance, to play in the League of Champions like we used to in the Champions League or in Europe League or in the World Championship. So, in my opinion, it is bad, but we still get our local championship. For instance, like games of the future. They're not as big, they're not as good, but still, it's our something of our own, which I'm really happy about. And yeah.
What sanction affected your movie industry, leading to the rise in popularity of local content? I can see similar things happening with sports. Your local league, the local sports league must have gained popularity post the war.
Yeah, but like sports people, they need to compete a lot to become better. And
Yeah.
because we don't have as much competition as we used to have, I feel like our sports teams get worse because of
Mhm.
that, and they don't really have much chances to become better and
Mhm.
fight with European or American teams on the same level.
Mhm. Yeah. So, man, is there any stereotype about Russia that you like to address?
That Russian people drink a lot, I guess. Russian people, in my personal opinion, actually drink less than some European people do. But that's just my like personal opinion.
Hmm. So, Volvet, what is the best piece of advice that you ever received?
You either live hard in the beginning and have an easy life later,
Hmm.
or you live an easy life in the beginning of your life and you get a hard life in the end.
Hmm. It's a deep one.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the podcast. So, did
Wow.
you enjoy the podcast? Volvet.
Yeah, man. It was really fun to be honest with you. I didn't expect that much questions to be honest.
But I'm really glad that you haven't skipped any of my questions and have answered them very maturely.
Thanks, man.
So, any final thought?
Guys, remember your family, remember your friends, help them if you can in bad situations or war if it happens in your place.
Hmm.
Be respectful to people, and everything will be good in your life.
We hope so, man. So, before we wrap up, could you kindly ask our viewers to subscribe to the Billion Insight channel?
So yeah, guys, subscribe to the Billion Insights podcast. It's really good here. Like you're gonna hear a bunch of stories. It's all good. Guys, just subscribe.
Could you please say that in Russian?
Да, конечно. Ребята, подписывайтесь на канал. Здесь много интересных историй. The Billion Insights. Реально классный канал. Буду
Yep.
рад вас всех видеть здесь.
Thank you, Bhalveer. Thank you so much for talking with us today and sharing your experience. As my Prime Minister Modi has stated, this is not an era of a war. With that in mind, I hope that the current conflicts, whether it's between Russia and Ukraine or Israel and Palestine, will be resolved peacefully. I look forward to seeing peace restored and everything returned to the normal, both in Russia and around the world. And we wish you all the best for your future, man, and your country's future. Thank you.
Mashallah, man.
Yeah,
Mashallah.
thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Thank you for inviting me. I was really happy to talk about that kind of stuff because I don't really talk about that kind of stuff in English, really. Thank you, man. Was really
Yeah,
happy to be here.
thanks for coming, man. We may do another podcast in the future.
Yeah.
And to our listener, thank you for tuning into the Billion Insight podcast. Stay tuned for more exciting episodes. And until next time, dream big and work hard. This is Sri signing out. Peace.